Welcome back to 32 for 32, our NFL preview series. This is the Goal Line Stand. I am Michael Lipinski, joined as always by Brett Halpern right over there. That way, follow us on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at GL Stand Show. This here program is devoted to the Tennessee Titans. And Brett, I got to tell you, I'm a Mike Vrabel guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's he's just lunch pail kind of guy.
Yeah, there's just something about him that I like, and I know I probably shouldn't, coming from his background in New England, but I always liked the way that he played.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, yeah, he did score a touchdown against you guys in the Super Bowl, but
it's okay.
He was look, it happens. He was
all the time.
No, I wouldn't say all the time. I mean, but he was a lunch pail guy. He made the most. He was limited physically, but real heady, smart team guy. Really liked him. I wanted to ask you a question, actually. This is something that I had not asked you. What did you think of the Tennessee Titans jersey makeover a few years ago?
I didn't like it at all.
Because you're a white helmet guy.
Well, I'm a white helmet guy. I actually like the helmet. The helmet actually really works. I actually like the navy blue helmet. I just would have incorporated a little bit more of the traditional Oilers colors. I've always been of that opinion, meaning more of the light blue, the baby blue, the red, and the white. I think it's just an awesome, awesome look that even though they're not in Houston anymore, they can still rock it. The Texans aren't using that color scheme. It would be
sort of.
Yeah, I mean, they use the darker blue. I think there's too much navy blue. There's too much navy blue and red in this division, let alone the league. So it was an opportunity. I think it was a miss. They could have went in another direction. Thank God they didn't go silver, though. There was rumors that they were going to go like full bore silver and navy blue, which that wouldn't have worked well either.
I agree. I'm actually a fan. I do think it is a bit of a ripoff from the Toronto Argonauts.
Yeah. Actually, right.
I like it. I definitely think it was an upgrade over the white helmet. Sorry to say, and everything else.
It was definitely an upgrade. It was definitely an upgrade over what they had before. I still think that they missed the ball on what could have been.
I got you.
But I do like the helmet. The helmet, I think, works really well.
That's a lot from you because you are a white helmet guy.
Yeah, well, the original. It's the original Titans white helmet was so very 1990s.
Yeah, it definitely was.
It worked well going in a different direction.
Good point.
So tomorrow on UniWatch, let's move on. Let's get started with the Tennessee Titans, one of the two teams that made the playoffs in the division, and they actually went the furthest. 2019 record 9-7. They were the AFC wildcard team. They lost in the championship game. We're going to get to it, whether that's somewhere they can go again, but they made a nice little run. Let's take a look at it. Opt-outs, departures, acquisitions. What do you got going here?
Well, I think in terms of the acquisitions, the two most notable names are the ones that will help them the most are Vic Beasley from the Falcons and Jonathan Joseph, the cornerback. Jonathan Joseph's getting, towards the latter part of his career, but he's definitely going to provide much needed depth in the secondary. And I think, the Titans are hoping that Vic Beasley could find sort of the form he had about a year or two ago when he registered well over, I think it was like 13 sacks.
So a little bit of a change of scenery kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Departures particularly in the Denver Broncos preview we talked a lot about Jurrell Casey. I think some of the other notable names there, Jack Conklin, I think, is a really big departure.
That's a huge departure for them.
One of the best right tackles in the game. He ended up going to Cleveland. I was hoping he was going to go to New York. Turns out Dion Lewis, the running back, their third down back, ended up in New York. The Marcus Mariota era is officially over, which was to be expected. And I think Logan Ryan is a big departure for them. I think that they'll be able to withstand it. But Logan Ryan, I think, criminally underrated as a cornerback. He was one of those guys who was just like borderline Pro Bowl, but
He's
very
a solid
consistent.
player.
Yeah,
He's a
super
solid
consistent.
player.
Yeah.
He came out of Rutgers at the time when it was DBU. It had all those D-backs coming out, the McCourties, all those guys.
Yes.
And he's probably the last of them. And he's just a very solid player. And maybe that's why he's not signed. We touched on it with the Colts yesterday. This guy is just out there. There's plenty of teams. You're a Giants fan. He would fit the Giants. I'm an Eagles fan. He would certainly fit the Eagles. I don't get it. I just don't.
I mean, we're not privy to some of his contract demands, which I wonder were maybe exorbitant, but he's going to land somewhere at some point. At some point, the need will meet the demand. So I'm obviously I'm hopeful he ends up in a good spot, and always wish him the best as a Rutgers guy. In terms of the rest of the departures, Tajay Sharp was sort of a marginal receiver. Those last three names are guys who were once, all either Pro Bowl level or at least very solid starters, but sort of came to the end of their career. So it was just time to, part ways.
Time to move on. The one that I look at of the last three, Delaney Walker, we've discussed it with Jason Witten when we were discussing the Las Vegas Raiders. Tight ends have a little bit of a longer shelf life. So if you have maybe there's a guy there, all right, maybe that's going to hurt. That might be it.
Yep. No, absolutely. I mean, they have John, so they definitely have at least their tight end one to replace him. But in terms of depth, I think it might hurt. I always laugh at Cameron Wake. Cameron Wake was a New York Giant.
It feels like he's been around for a long, long time.
He would have been on the Giants for the 07 team. Imagine that pass rush. It's amazing. But they let him go, and he's had a remarkable career. So if he doesn't end, I don't know if he officially announced his retirement, but if he does retire, kudos to him on a great career.
Let's get to it. Only one opt out here. Offensive lineman Anthony McKinney.
Yeah, he's a backup offensive lineman, so it's always going to present depth issues. But other than that, they did not have any other opt outs.
One of the teams that just had a couple as one as opposed to a lot. Let's get into it. Let's get to their draft. They actually had a first round pick. I feel like we had a little bit of a run here on teams that didn't have first round picks or drafting late in the draft. I got to tell you, not super impressed, but maybe that's a good thing.
To me, this is kind of a solid. Yeah, there was nothing that screamed. Maybe nothing that screamed this was amazing, but also nothing that screamed this is terrible, makes no sense. As I had said, I am very proud of myself because on our mock draft show, I correctly predicted their first round selection, and this is one near and dear to my heart. A Brooklyn boy, so that's in honor of my father. For Poly Prep Zone. Isaiah Wilson, where my cousin stars as a lacrosse player. He is expected to take the place of Jack Conklin. This sort of made sense. He was the starting right tackle at Georgia, a massive human being, and I think his best football is way ahead of him. Christian Fulton is a guy who could easily have been a first-round cornerback. We've talked about in several of these other previews, as we did back in the mock draft and then the draft recap show. There was just a lot of good cornerbacks, and he was among that group that could have gone anywhere from the mid-first to even early third round. He's one of those good cornerbacks. Darrington Evans from Appalachian State, I think, is going to come in right away and replace Dion Lewis very well. He's sort of that smaller third down back. Another one of the guys I had pointed out on our mock draft show as a diamond in the rough was Cole McDonald, the quarterback from Hawaii. I just think he's such a character, great athlete, ran in the 4.5s. He definitely needs some time to learn more of the nuances of the position in the game, but I think he had enough talent where he was worth a 7th-round pick to see if he's someone that could develop into either a suitable
But yeah,
backup or
you're not losing anything drafting a guy in the 7th round. I mean, it's
exactly.
not going to work.
And I'll tell you, like they had 2 7th-round picks. So it was, you take a flyer on a quarterback who there's some aspects to his game that are rare. So you see if you can develop him. And I thought that that's worth a pick in the 7th round. So in all, a decent draft.
Let's get into it. There are 4 questions that we have to determine the fate here of the Tennessee Titans. 4 key questions for the Titans for 2020. Which 2 players are the most important to the Titans offense?
Well, everyone is immediately going to say Derrick Henry, and I think that's a given. So to me, it's which people around him need to play well in order to keep the ball rolling, keep the train on the tracks. Obviously, I think one has to be Ryan Tannehill. He really
it's kind of a given.
Yeah, look, it's the quarterback. He's got to play well. So, all right. So then, if that's a given, and the quarterback position sort of the easy way out, then I'll name 2 others for you. One would be A.J. Brown, the receiver, who I thought particularly towards the end of the season really came on and clearly established himself as a wide receiver 1. The second one is going to be Isaiah Wilson, because as we just mentioned, Jack Conklin is a big time player, and they're going to miss him.
I don't understand. I guess it's a financial thing, letting him go. I mean, there's certain positions that are linchpin positions that guys you're going to sign for long-term deals, and offensive tackle is one of them. Didn't make sense to me when they let him move on. I'm not going to say you keep him at all costs, but pretty close to it.
Well, I think, and we've talked about this with some of our other previews in terms of allocation of resources. You have a Pro Bowl left tackle in Taylor Lewan. How much? Look, we're both linemen at heart. Well, you always had aspirations to be other.
That is true.
Yeah, you wanted to be a tight end. You had visions of grandeur. I always, I was always a lineman. I would love if linemen got all the money, but in the end of the day, I don't know how much money you could just devote to literally one position. It is obviously an important position, but
yeah, I guess
it's tough.
That is true. Yeah,
but
it's not. I got look. He's a play. He's a cornerstone type player. So that's a tough move.
Yeah, and he can play left tackle too, but he's gonna step right in, play right tackle for the Browns. And when we get to the Browns, we're gonna talk about. I think that was a tremendous pickup for them, but it's also a big loss. So if Isaiah Wilson could step in and even if he could get to 75% this year of what Jack Conklin was, I'd say that the train's still going to be on the tracks. And he's actually much bigger than Jack Conklin. This is a guy who's 6'5", 350 pounds. And by the way, he's a svelte 350. And he is an in-shape 350-pound man.
It's a new look kind of player now.
Yeah, he's just a big guy, and he's going to wear on you. And that's exactly what the Titans want to do, which is why I thought that it made sense for the Titans to take him. They did. So those are the 2 outside of Tannehill and Derrick Henry.
Which is going to bring us to Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill, game manager or more? I don't know. That's a great question because he was a pleasant surprise, I think.
Yeah.
He obviously got the money. Going back to him in Miami, maybe it was just the situation, but.
Well, going back to Miami, I'll give you 2 words: Adam Gase.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, it's a valid point. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a little bit of a nuanced answer. I think the Ryan Tannehill we saw last year, so he threw for about 2,700 yards in 12 games. One of those games, he actually didn't even have a pass attempt, so really 11 games. He had like 22 touchdowns, only 6 picks. But there are several games where he threw well over 300 yards. So I think he could be more than a game manager. But to me, the way the Tennessee Titans win ball games is when he is a game manager and when he is, when they're just pounding the rock with Derrick Henry. And I think I bet the Baltimore Ravens game where they went in and defeated them in the AFC divisional round, I think he didn't even throw the ball 15 times. And that's what they want. So again, I think he is good enough. The Ryan Tannehill we saw last year is good enough to be more than a game manager, but that's not the kind of game style.
They're not asking him to do too much.
Yeah.
They're making him, and that's fine. Look, there's plenty of guys that win that way, right?
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. You don't need a quarterback throwing for 505 yards. I mean, it is what it is.
Look, the Ravens won with Trent Dilfer.
Right, exactly. Eagles won with a backup quarterback. Let's get to it here. Improved defense without Jurrell Casey, or are they regressing?
I think at minimum they're going to hold steady, and that's because I think Jurrell Casey became expendable when the Titans, when it was confirmed that Jeffrey Simmons was healthy. So 2 drafts ago, the 2019 draft, the Titans in the latter part of the first round drafted Jeffrey Simmons, the defensive tackle from Mississippi State. In the pre-draft process, Simmons had torn his ACL, which is why his draft stock, is why he fell to the end of the first round. Otherwise, he was a top 10 talent. And, by the end of the season, they put him on PUP, but then they activate him, I guess, at the 6th week, and they kept him on the roster, didn't put him on IR. And by the end of the season, he was playing and starting to play really well. So because of that, I think he could replace Jurrell Casey, and at minimum, they're going to be the same level of defense. I think you add in a Vic Beasley, and the pass rush might be even better. Look, they're going to miss Logan Ryan a little bit, though.
Well, we're going to get to that here. Secondary, is the secondary a weakness? They are going to miss Logan Ryan again. It's this thing. I don't get it. I don't get why a guy of his stature isn't playing somewhere.
Yeah, well, I think he will. But are they as good as they were last year with Logan Ryan? I don't think so. But as we mentioned, they drafted Christian Fulton in the 2nd round, and they also picked up Jonathan Joseph, who, while a little bit maybe a little long in the tooth, still a good player. They have Adoree Jackson. They have Malcolm Butler, who I guess, unlike Bill Belichick, what's his name? Vrabel's actually going to play him.
Yeah.
I still don't understand that. Yeah, hey, you guys, by all means. And look, I really like their safety duo of Kevin Byard and Kenny Vaccaro. So I don't think it's a weakness. It may not be as much of a strength, but look, depending upon the development of Christian Fulton, they may end up by the end of the season not really missing Logan Ryan too much. So I think they did a decent job of replacing him.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's a fair enough point.
Yeah.
If you are looking for our complete breakdown of the Titans record and prediction, you're going to have to wait till the end of our 32 for 32 NFL preview series for the big show, the mega preview show, where we're going to discuss all things NFL, give our predictions. So I guess it's a prediction show, really, is what we're going to end up calling it, because we're previewing everything now. So prediction show. That's
an excellent point.
Yeah. If you want to, don't miss that, because it'll be exclusive here on YouTube. So subscribe, leave us a message, throw us a like, tell us what else you want to see. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at GL Stan Show. I'm Mike. That's Brett. We will be back tomorrow to talk Bill O'Brien and the Houston Texans, and I'm going to need a whole hell of a lot of coffee to get through his mind, because who knows what's going on. Hey, listen, stay safe, and we'll see you down the road.